Hello, and welcome to Transportation Talks, sponsored by the Transportation and Supply Chain Institute at the University of Denver. My name is Michelle Livingstone, and I have the privilege of serving as host for the next 30 minutes. We have a very special guest today, Joe Hinrichs, the President and CEO of CSX. Joe, please join me on camera.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Joe. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, this is terrific. We are so excited to have you because you are relatively new to the transportation industry. And having been at CSX for really less than a year at this point, I think this is really great for a lot of us to get to know you better. I don't know that everybody saw you on Squawk Box like I did before you even officially started, but you certainly made a positive impression on me. And that was one of the reasons why I've been so excited to have this conversation with you today. So maybe you could just tell us about yourself.
Well, thanks, Michelle. And you're right. I was announced as CEO of CSX the day that the industry reached a tentative agreement with the unions last September. So I actually was the only person on TV talking about my announcement when everyone wanted to talk about the union agreement. So I had to get up to speed very quickly. But I spent 31 years in the auto industry. I grew up in Ohio and I started as an engineer. Then I worked in manufacturing and I worked my way up, ultimately plant manager and then head of manufacturing worldwide for Ford. I spent 10 years at General Motors, 19 years at Ford. And I retired in 2020 as president of Ford Motor Company's global automotive business. And I was happily retired and I was on a bunch of boards and doing some advisory work. And I had this great opportunity come about to join CSX, and I'm honored to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. And I think it's really great to get some additional perspective from you coming from a different industry. So being new to the transportation industry, I know you were a customer of it previously, but now you are officially a service provider in the rail industry. Tell us what your biggest aha moments have been.
Well, you know, when I took the job last summer and I started in the fall, probably the biggest aha moment was just how much opportunity there was within the industry to improve stakeholder relationships across most of the stakeholder groups. Coming out of COVID and everything that happened in the industry over the last several years, our customer service levels collectively as an industry had fallen. Our employee relations were challenged. We were short manpower. The STB, the regulator, Surface Transportation Board, was upset with the service levels that we were providing as an industry, and customers were starting to give some complaints about that. So to me, it was a big opportunity to step back and say, how can we engage our employees and improve our work culture better to provide better service to our customers? And so talked to a number of our CEOs in the industry, and we all agree that the best thing we could do to help our industry was to serve the customers better. And we've been focused on that from day one at CSX. And as you referenced, I was a customer for decades and felt there was lots of opportunity for the rails to improve their service. So really bring that perspective to CSX.
Yeah, I think that's great. As a fellow shipper, I applaud you all the way for that one. So one of the things that you talked about early on that you wanted to do as you were getting out to meet your associates and learning about your operations is that you were doing listening sessions. And I thought that was really interesting. And I was just curious, could you just kind of summarize for us the key takeaways from your listening sessions? How many did you do? How many associates did you meet with?
Yeah, so, our network is spread across 26 states and also Ontario and Quebec up in Canada. So in my first 100 days, I think I did 39 visits to different locations on our network, always with one or two exceptions, always unannounced, to show up and start talking to people, ask them how it's going, introducing myself, thanking them for what they're doing, but also listening to what their issues were. And I learned a lot of things. This was also during the period where the contract was trying to get ratified and eventually went to Congress to be enforced. So there's a lot of feelings on the union negotiations, of course, but also feelings about how people felt as employees, about our attendance policies, around some of our other actions. So really just listen and get to know the employees and understand what their issues were so we could go work to solve them. Because again, we're a service business, as you highlighted, Michelle, and our employees provide that service. So really wanted to get to know them better, learn more about railroading. So spend more time out in the field, understanding what all the terminology means and also how the processes work. But most importantly, get to know our people, understand them, understand what the issues are so we can go work to solve them and make life experience better for them.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously the war on talent is real. And so I'm sure that you're making a lot of big big process changes to try and continue to recruit and retain your associates.
You're right. I mean, so, think about it. The unemployment level is low. We've been short manpower. It takes about 6 months for us to fully train a conductor to help run the train. We have an engineer and a conductor in the locomotive, and so we need both of those. And we've been short conductors, and so it takes 6 months. So you invest a lot in those people, and about half of them were attriting out in the first year. So we were putting all this investment in, but also we were losing a lot of people and having difficulty getting more people in. So creating the right environment around our culture, around our brand as a corporate brand, and also creating the work experience people want to be is a really important part of attracting and retaining talent for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe on that note, just a little further, diversity is certainly something that as an industry we've kind of struggled with over the years. And I was just curious if you had thoughts in terms of attracting and retaining diverse talent as well.
Yeah, such an important topic for lots of different reasons. When you step back and think about it, what we're looking for is to create an environment as part of what we call our ONE CSX initiative, to create an environment where all employees feel valued, appreciated, respected, listened to, and included. And you have for people to feel that way, they have to be truly believe that you value them for who they are, for what they bring to the table, their experiences, their life experiences, their skills, their attributes, and their perspectives and opinions. And to really get the best of our people, we have to create an environment where diversity of thought, opinion, perspective, experience is valued. And you want then a diverse population to be able to contribute to that. Otherwise, you get the same answers, you get the same points of view. But we've been working hard at improving the diversity of our workforce, to be sure, and also making sure that we have an environment where people feel included, that we're inclusive. That DEI is all those words are important. The equity component of it is very important. How people are treated equitably, feel treated equitably. We bring a diverse workforce in to represent the communities that we serve and live in. But we also need to make sure they feel included and feel valued, and create that environment where they can shine. And we're working on all those elements. It's tough in our environment because in the craft unions, the actually employees on the rail network out in the field was very male dominated. We're trying to find ways to bring more women in. We're trying to find ways to help the work-life balance and the scheduling work for everybody. So we have our challenges, to be sure, but it starts with creating an environment where people can feel safe and valued and appreciated and respected and included. And then goodness comes from that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really exciting to hear that that's an area of focus for you. And I wish you all the best for that, as I think there will be great benefits from that going forward for sure. So just going back to the service element a little more, as we were chatting, one of the things I always root for is that the on-time performance is going to actually exceed the operating ratio for the railroads. And I'm just curious, hopefully that will happen. And just curious in terms of, do you have some specific initiatives that you could share in terms of what CSX is doing to improve on-time service? Yeah,
so it's a really important topic. And again, it goes back to prioritizing service to customers, which I felt was a big opportunity for us. And I'm thankful our team has really responded. In the first quarter, we had our best ever profits, and we had our best ever, we call trip plan compliance, which is when we sign up to take someone's order and move their goods, we give them a trip plan. So it's going to take this long and get there. And in the first quarter, we averaged about 85%. I think that was a record number for us. Our OR was probably about 60%, roughly thereabouts. So you can see the vast difference now in the trip plan compliance versus OR. They're both important, and you want the OR to be lower and the trip plan compliance to be higher. But importantly, they're related to each other because it's a network effect. And so how fluid we run and how fluid our network is contributes to our efficiencies from a cost standpoint, but most importantly, contributes to our ability to be able to service the customers on time, as we said we were going to do. And that's been a big priority of our business. If you think about it, last summer, we were probably in the low 60% on that metric of kind of trip plan compliance. And now we're in the mid 80s, and we're not where we want to be yet. We're making a lot of progress. It starts with a commitment of the leadership team to prioritize this, and then it cascades down the organization to challenge the organization to make this a priority. And I'm proud to say we're making progress. It starts with every single employee, though, because we're a service business, as you highlighted, and it really comes down to, do our employees feel Like they're engaged and appreciated to be able to provide better service, and do we reward that kind of behavior? And are they leaning in? I mean, are they feeling good about the company wanting to serve their customer? The best service companies in the world really engage with and really focus on the employee culture and the experience to be able to provide that service. And that's what we're trying to do at CSX.
Yeah, absolutely. As our former co-founder of Home Depot, Bernie Marcus, always said, if you take care of your associates, they'll take care of your customers and the rest will take care of itself. So
Exactly.
I think you'll find that to be the case as well. So that is really great news. So in the past 6 years, there have been a fair number of CEO changes at CSX, and all of the CEOs have left some legacy, some better than others, perhaps, as you reflect back. But what do you want your legacy to be at CSX?
Well, it starts with recognizing that it's an honor and a privilege to serve in these roles. And so you can never lose that perspective. It's not about me, it's about the stewardship we provide to CSX. It's a 196-year-old company. And so we have a role to play in helping it, get to its next 200 years. I think, whenever my days are done at CSX, I would love it if people say, listen, the employee culture and the customer service orientation of the company changed dramatically in a positive way. And that we were able to create an environment where employees truly do feel that they're valued, appreciated, respected, included, and listened to, and that customer service is the priority. The financial results are an outcome of a great employee experience and great customer service that our customers will pay us for. And so the financial results are an outcome of that. If we can create that environment, because the railroads historically have not been viewed as having the best employee cultures. If we can be honest with ourselves, we look at external data and whatnot, and they haven't been necessarily viewed by customers as having a customer service orientation. So our goal at CSX is to change that narrative and to change that perspective and lead by example, and create the best employee experience and culture we can create and the best customer service at levels that we can do consistently, and change that whole narrative around how railroads are viewed.
Yeah, that's terrific. So, Peter Drucker, the famous culture eats strategy for breakfast every day, is a big one. And I know you've mentioned culture several times in our conversations. Tell us more about ONE CSX. What are you hoping to accomplish with that? Where are you in that process, and what will the end game look like?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, ONE CSX is a journey because there's really no end point. We're trying to create an environment where our employees feel supported, as I said earlier, valued, appreciated, respected, included, and that the employee experience gets much better so that we can attract and retain a lot more talent, especially in our unions and our craft employees out in the field, and create that experience that leads to teamwork and positivity that leads to better service. And so within ONE CSX, it's about creating that positive environment, creating an environment of listening to our employees. We're starting to survey employees quarterly to get feedback from them. For example, in March, we did an employee survey, and we gave them a box to give us comments. We got 3,600 written comments, some of which were chapters in a book, I think. And I read every single one of them. It took me a long time, and some of it was sobering. But it's that engagement, it's that connection, it's that listening to what those issues are so we can make it better. And then we fundamentally believe if we listen to our employees and help solve problems and help create a better environment, including how our leadership behaviors are, really what our leadership behavior expectations are, if we can change those, I've always said we get the behaviors we teach or tolerate. So we have to be teachers, and we also can't tolerate the behaviors we don't want. And so within ONE CSX, we're working on leadership behaviors, working on the culture, and the work experience our employees have, ultimately to create a better environment and have fun by winning together, by creating that environment. So it's about being one team, working together with one goal, which is to safely serve our customers well, and then ultimately reward our shareholders by how we do that. And we're on that journey. Like I said, it's never going to end, but we want to make sure we're making progress every month. And I'm actually talking to you from Cleveland, at the airport in Cleveland, because I met this morning with representatives of one of our largest unions talking about how do we solve problems, how we worked on some issues that have come up how can we be moving forward? We were the first railroad to do paid sick leave for our union employees in 196 years, believe it or not. And those are examples of things we're doing under ONE CSX to make it a better place.
That's great. Well, I wish you all the best on that. It's going to be really exciting to see how that continues to unfold. That's a big deal. So I'm going to pause here because I just wanted to make sure that the audience was aware that you're also welcome to submit chat questions. I have enough that we could speak until next Friday and have a great time doing it. But if, in fact, any of the audience members have any questions, Joe has agreed to answer them if he possibly can, recognizing that the earnings call's tomorrow, so there may be some limitations as to what he can respond to. But if you have a question, please submit it in the chat and we'll certainly work it in. And otherwise, I'm just going to keep on going. So, so Joe, one of the things that I think is pretty exciting that CSX is doing more industry collaboration. And maybe you could explain a little bit of what you're doing with CPKC and some of those initiatives that I think are really pretty innovative for the industry.
Yeah, we're very excited. I mean, one of the unique things about the rail industry is how integrated we are. Because of how we're structured, 40% of the goods that we move touch another railroad, either after we give it to another railroad or we take it from another railroad because of how things are structured. So it's very important that we work well together as an industry as much as we can, and to serve our customers better. And one of the exciting things we're doing with CPKC, which is the new Canadian Pacific Kansas City Southern merger, is working on the co-development of hydrogen locomotives together. Really important initiative for our future. You think about it, we use diesel locomotives today. We're very fuel efficient, 4 to 5 times better than a truck for long distance hauling of goods, for the emissions and for the environment. But nevertheless, we got to keep looking forward. And so I think it's very important, having been in the auto industry for 30 years, really important to share learnings and to share the cost of that R&D early on. And so we're collaborating together to use technology that CPKC was already developing with our manufacturing capability to help build the locomotives. And we'll both learn from each other, and we'll also double the amount of learnings we have from putting hydrogen locomotives into service. We also, with CPKC, announced we're creating a new interchange point, which I think these things happen like every 50 years because the industry is so old, in Alabama, where we're going to be able to interchange and provide service to our customers coming from Mexico or from the west to the east through a new interchange point. So a couple of good examples. We're also in conversations with a number of other of our union partners on some things as well. So we're excited about it because, again, maybe it's the outsider coming in, but my view is we should all be working more together to help advance the whole industry collectively, and importantly, to serve our customers better.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting, and I can't wait to see where that pans out. What's the timing on some of those? Is there a timeline laid out, or is it still too soon to share?
Yeah, well, we announced a few weeks ago that we're forming a joint venture. So we have to finalize the joint venture. But we, the actual kits, the actual hydrogen locomotives, we're intending to try and get those in service by the end of the year. So working together quickly to test them and start the process. The interchange point will take a little bit longer because we have to invest in the rail network to bring it up to speed where that's going to be. But again, that should be happening pretty soon.
Yeah, that's very exciting that it's so real time. If it's 10 years from now, it's interesting, but if you can touch it.
This is real.
This year, that's great
real.
stuff. Yes. So that's good. Okay, so just moving right along, I just wanted to say thanks. CSX has been a terrific supporter of the Transportation and Supply Chain Institute at the University of Denver since its inception 25 years ago. And we're so fortunate to have Arthur Adams, who's the SVP of Sales and Marketing for CSX, be a graduate of the program and serve on the board. And he is always a fan favorite when he speaks to the cohorts. And you are obviously well educated as well and have multiple degrees and have been recognized with honorary doctorate degrees as well, which is quite impressive. Tell us, just from your perspective, what do you see the benefits of advanced education as? I mean, so it seems like there's a trend actually to move away from more formal education. I have actually heard young folks say, oh, I can learn everything I need to know off YouTube. Thanks, I'm good. I don't need to go to college anymore. And I'm just kind of like, really? But that's kind of the sentiment. So from your perspective, what is your take on college in general and advanced degrees specifically?
Yeah, well, first, let me say, we're so excited to have Arthur part of our team. And so thank you for recognizing him. He's great. And I really enjoy working with him. And he's a big supporter, as you said, of this institute. I'm a big fan of advanced degrees. And let me tell you a couple of reasons why. First of all, let me just tell you, we have 3 children. Our oldest is a doctor. Our youngest is an engineer. And our son in the middle has an MBA. So we're big on education and big on promoting that advancement for yourself. One of the great opportunities in advanced degrees is you're a little more mature and a little more experienced when you're getting that education, just by nature of the timing of how you've done things. Sure. And so I actually find that, for example, my MBA program, I learned a lot from my colleagues that were in the program with me and their experience and their more maturity. Same with myself. So I actually felt I got a lot more out of the class environment and the group environment, the cohort environment, in graduate school. And I think that's very beneficial, and something doesn't happen as much in the undergraduate level because you're going through the kind of systemic kind of classes to get your degree. But also it's a furthering of your skills and a more advancement of skills. So whether it's whatever type program it is, if you add a graduate school education to your undergraduate education, you're really supplementing that, but enhancing it in a more disciplined way, more focused way. And oftentimes, by the time people are choosing what to do at the graduate level, they kind of know what they want to do. They're more narrowed in on what they're interested in, so they can actually really get excited about, whereas an undergrad, you may be taking courses all across the spectrum, and some of that stuff you're not very excited about, or you feel like you have to do it because it's a prerequisite or whatever. But when you're in graduate school, you're really focusing on an area that you've demonstrated an interest in and you want to learn, and you're more mature and ready to go. So I really applaud people who continue to invest in themselves and in their growth. And I think you learn just as much from your cohorts and from your colleagues in graduate school as you do from the actual academic part of it. And so I don't think it's dead. You can't learn everything from video games or from TikTok. And I think the shared experiences that come to life in graduate school are one of the things you'll cherish forever.
Yes. And I always say education is the one thing that no one can ever take away from you. They can take away a title, they can take away money, you can take away all sorts of other things, but education is the one thing no one can ever take away from you. So I think from that perspective.
Well, yeah, right, Michelle. And think about the confidence that you gain by having the more experience and the more education. And confidence is a really big part of our success, because if you can't be overconfident, but if you're confident, you perform better. If you're comfortable, you perform better. And let's be honest, we're all performers. We're industrial athletes, or we're whatever words you want to use. And we want to be able to give ourselves the chance to be the most successful we can be by contributing in the most meaningful way. And I think advanced education certainly helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate the endorsement for that. So thank you so much. Just looking ahead here, what have you learned now that you've been in Jacksonville? You've been in Jacksonville for a little bit. Just moving on to a little lighter note. How are you liking the transition from Michigan to Jacksonville?
Yeah, my wife Maria and I are really liking, especially the winter. I can promise you that. This is our 8th state we've lived in. Plus, we lived in Canada and we spent 3 years in China. So we've been in a lot of places. And we grew up in the Midwest. Both my wife and I both grew up in Ohio, and we spent the last 20 years, most of it in the Michigan. So we're Midwesterners at our roots. So having a nice warm winter was nice. Of course, it's gotten pretty hot here this summer, and it rains a lot in the summer in Jacksonville. It's pretty much a swamp, but we're really enjoying it. The people have been great. The CSX team has been great. It's a good location to travel from, in the area where we are. And we've really enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed bringing family down. So we're enjoying the experience, and I just feel such a privilege to be a part of the CSX team. A lot of times railroads operate in the background, because they grew up before the cities actually did. Cities grew up around them, and we take railroads for granted oftentimes because they just kind of exist. And there was a romantic time period where it helped people move around the country and see things they never see. But now we've got airplanes and cars that do that. And so, the freight network we have in America is unrivaled compared to the rest of the world. And sometimes we take it for granted. But we've really enjoyed Jacksonville. We enjoyed the CSX team. Got a great headquarters right on the river, downtown Jacksonville. So we're blessed.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And what else would you like folks to know? Is there anything else that comes to mind that that you'd like to share in our final couple minutes together?
Well, I think, one of the things I love to talk about, especially with folks in graduate programs, is, no matter what role you're in a company, you play a leadership role, especially as you advance in your career. And we should never lose sight of the fact that leadership is about service to others. It's helping other people be successful. You're leading other people, and it's an honor and a privilege to lead. And so you first and foremost have to have that view, because if you think that you're now special because you've given a title or because people work for you on an org chart, then you're missing the point. You've been given that honor and privilege to serve others, to help them be successful, not for them to serve you for you to be successful. But just a constant reminder of that to people, because oftentimes society makes people feel more important than they are because of their titles. And Alan Mulally, who I worked for 7 years as Ford CEO, used to say, it's nice to be important, much more important to be nice. And so just a reminder to everybody out there that if you have it's an honor and a privilege to lead other people, and your role every day is to help them be successful. And if you can create an environment where people come together and have more success and work together better because of your engagement, because of your leadership, that's when the magic happens, and that's when the opportunity to advance continues. So to me, that's an exciting part of life, and one we should appreciate. But we have to remind ourselves all the time that we're here to help other people be successful, not for them to help us be successful. If you're a leader, your results will come by the work that the teams that you serve create. And the last thing is, I'll put a plug in for our industry. In transportation, I was in the auto side of transportation. Now I'm on the rail side of transportation. But one thing that's in the title of the institute, of course, is supply chain. And supply chain used to be a word, two words, and people talked about a lot. But now it's in the top 10 category for a lot of companies. So exciting! What an opportunity to be a part of the solution. And so transportation and supply chain over the last several years, we took for granted. Now we don't anymore. So what an exciting opportunity for everybody involved with the Institute, because this is our time to be a part of the solution, to help create new solutions. And people now appreciate and recognize how important supply chain is in the global economy.
Yes, thank you so much. That was a beautiful way to wrap that up. Thank you so much. We so appreciate your time, Joe. We wish you all the best. It's going to be very exciting to see all that you accomplished in the years to come, and we'll be watching closely. So thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And for the rest of the audience, I just want to let you know that our next Transportation Talks is going to be on October 5th. We are blessed to have Barbara Melvin, the president and CEO of the South Carolina Ports Authority, join us. Barbara's terrific. She's got lots of knowledge and very dynamic, and I think you'll really enjoy the session. So please hold the date for 2:30 on October 5th for another 30-minute session, and that's going to be great. And just know that you'll be able to see a replay of this conversation with Joe on your favorite social media platforms. So whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook and whatever else up there. I don't know if we're on Threads yet or not. That one might not yet be out there, but everything else will be out there. So we look forward to seeing you in the future. So thanks, y'all. Have a great day. And Joe, thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.